This is the last lesson of the topic for 8th grade, Module 7, Lesson 5 on solving equations with radicals. All right, so we've been working with square roots, and so now we're actually going to put them into use with an actual equation. All right, so here we go. We have x cubed plus 9x equals half the quantity of 18x plus 54. So the first thing I'm going to do is just get rid of this 2, all right, and get rid of the half. So I'm going to multiply this 2. Actually, I'm going to divide this 2 into the 18 and the 54 because I see that the 2 can cancel into both. So let's do that first just to get rid of the fraction. So 2 goes into 18 9 times, and 2 goes into 54 27 times. So I'm going to rewrite my problem. X cubed plus 9x equals, and I don't need to really multiply everything by 1 because there is a 1 right here. If it's multiplied by 1, it's just the numbers that are there. So we're going to put 9x plus 27. Now I'm going to start combining like terms. And I see that I have two numbers that both have an x. So I need to move one of them to the other one. So I'm going to move 9x. And if you notice, when I move that 9x, they actually cancel both because the positive, negative cancel, positive, negative cancel. So what am I left with? I'm left with x cubed equals 27. So I need to find the cube root of 27. So I'm going to say cube root of x cubed, so I can find its single version, equals the cube root of 27. So again, if you remember, cubes mean the same number multiplied 3 times will give me 27. And in this case, it would be 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. So the cube root of x cubed is x. That's going to be its single version. And then the cube root of 27 is going to be 3. And that's your final answer. All right, let's go ahead and try example 2. Example 2, the first thing we need to do is distribute this x into the parentheses. So we have x times x is going to give me x squared. And then x times negative 3 gives me negative 3x. Bring over that minus 51 equals negative 3x plus 13. Now we need to combine our like terms. I don't have anything else that is also an x squared, so I'm going to leave that alone. But I do have 2 that have just a single x. So I'm going to combine those by moving this 3x to this 3x. And I can quickly see that both of these are going to cancel just like they did up above. And I'm left with x squared minus 51 equals 13. Now I need to find out what this x squared is. So I need to get rid of the 51. What's the opposite of subtracting 51? We're going to add 51 to both sides. And then those cancel. So I'm going to bring down my x squared. And 13 plus 51 gives me 64. Now to find the single version of this and the square root of 64, I'm going to square my x squared. And I'm going to square my 64. And when I square my x squared, I get x. And I squared 64, I get 8. And so there is my final answer. X equals 8. Actually, plus or minus 8. And on that one up above, x equals 3, put plus or minus 3. No, because that was a cube root. Don't do that. Sorry. Just on this one because it was a square. You don't put the plus or minus on cubes. I just saw that one more time here. All right, next one. Number 1. We're going to go ahead and solve this out. I'm going to rewrite it because I like to write it where it's a little bit bigger. I don't have anything that also has an x squared, so I'm going to leave that alone. But I do see I have 2 with x's, and they're on the same side of the equal sign. So what's 5? Take away 5. That means both of these just canceled out. So I'm left with x squared minus 14 equals 67. Again, you want that x squared by itself, so I need to move that negative 14. Opposite of negative 14 is positive 14, so I'm going to add 14 to both sides. Those cancel, and I wind up with x squared equals 81. I'm going to take the square root of x squared, And I'm going to take the square root of 81. And my final answer is going to be x equals plus or minus 9. Explain how you solved this equation. So what I want you to do in your words is to kind of write it out, but let's give it also a visual. So you're going to add your words to my visual here. We had x squared equaled 81. So my visual for this would be x times x equals 81. Now, what two numbers that are the same give me 81? That would be 9 times 9 equals 81. And so therefore 81 equals 81. And what I want you to do right now is over here, write in your own words your explanation of what we just did right here with this visual. Let's look at number 2. First thing we want to do with number 2 is distribute that x. So we're going to say x squared, doing this first distribute, and then negative 1x. So we can just say negative x equals 121 minus x. All right, I'm going to let you finish that one on your own. So this will be one that I grade. And then let's look at number 3. Number 3 says, a square has a side length of 3x inches and an area of 324 inches squared. What's the value of x? Now, if you remember, area is length times width, and it's a square, which means they're going to be the same answer. So I'm going to take 3x, and I'm going to square it to find both sides. And I'm going to set that equal to the area answer of 324. So basically, if you kind of draw a picture here, we have a square, and it's saying my lengths are 3x. All right. Now, 3 squared and x squared is what that means when it's inside the parentheses, equals 324. So I'm just kind of expanded that out so you can see that's why I'm going to get a 9x squared here equals 324. Okay, I'm going to divide out my 9 because I want the x squares by itself. So those cancel there. And I wind up with x squared equals 36. Now I'm going to take the square root of x squared. And I'm going to take the square root of 36. And my final answer is x equals plus or minus 6. But then again, you can't have a negative side length, but it would be positive 6. All right, I'm going to have you guys do the rest on your own. You have 4, 5, 6, 7. And then on B, I want you to determine how the value of x was in your answer. How did you find the value of x for number 7? So give it your best shot. It is a challenge problem, but I'm pretty sure you can figure it out if you put it all together. All right, so this concludes our video tutorial.